Hi, I'm Rick Reed, and my wife Janet is with me. And we were born and bred in Birmingham, which is why I'm a Villa supporter. And my wife got saved in Sunday school when she was 8 years old, and I got miraculously saved when I was 17 in 1967. And we met when we were working at a supermarket called Safeway. Some of you might remember that, it doesn't exist anymore. But we worked together there and met and started to date and fell in love. And then we went to college in 1968. So we were kind of apart more or less for 3 years because I was in Birmingham and Janet was up north. But we came out in 1971 and got married in 1972. And we had three sons, Richard, Paul, and Keith. You might know them. But we were very happy in our local church. We were getting involved in ministries, went several times a week, and we were just really happy. And then God said, go to Bolton in 1981. What? Go to Bolton? What's in Bolton? Dark mills and guys in cloth caps and all that kind of stuff. That's what we knew. But we'd always tried to, if God showed us a door that was open or we thought it was open, we'd try going through it and then look for confirmation that what we were doing was the right thing. So how did it happen? Well, in my job, I'm a software programmer and a computer hardware engineer. And in my job, I used to go on courses a lot, both for hardware and software. And I used to get to know the people who came on the courses from different companies to mine. And this one guy called Tony Heaton, who worked at Reaver in Bolton, phoned me up one day and said, my company is looking for programmers. Would you like to come for an interview? So, talked it over with Janet and said, I've been offered an interview in Bolton. What do you think? So, who knows? So, decided to go for the interview. It was a success and they offered me a job. So, now what to do? This is where we need confirmation, really. And one of the things we said was, what are we going to do about our house? We own our own house, or we're mortgaged in our own house. So we would need to sell it. How long was that going to take? 6 months, 9 months? Janet would be on her own in Birmingham with 3 kids, and I'm up in Bolton. So the same day, I think it was the same day that I accepted that I got offered the job. We mentioned it to our next door neighbours over the garden fence, and we told them what might be happening, and they said, "Oh, we've got some friends who are interested in your house." And that same day, their friends came round, looked at our house, and bought it. Offered us the price that we thought it was worth, and agreed to buy it. So we didn't have to go to an estate agent. We didn't put it on the market. We just sold it there and then. So that was number one confirmation. And that was enough for us to say, yeah, I'll go for the job. So I replied, said I'd have the job. And they give me a start date about a month later. So I had to come up to Bolton and Janet had to stay in Birmingham to look after the kids and the house sale and everything that entailed. So I needed somewhere to stay in Bolton in the meantime. So I asked the pastor of the church that we were going to in Birmingham to look up in the Assemblies of God yearbook for the Pentecostal church in Bolton and give me the phone number, which he did. And I rang up and Pastor John Schofield answered. And I told him who I was and that I was coming to live in Bolton and I needed somewhere to stay before starting my job next Monday. did he have anybody in mind? So he said he'd look into it, rang me back and said, yes, our youth pastor, Terry Wilcox, has got room in his house for you. And he will be running the youth meeting at Bolton Pentecostal Church on Sunday night. So if you come on Sunday night, you can go home with him and start your new job on the Monday. So I went up on the Sunday, got to Bolton Pentecostal Church in Crawford Street and waited for the youth service to finish, and then went home with Terry Wilcox and his wife. While we were having a sandwich and a cup of tea before we went to bed, he asked me what my new job was. And I said, oh, it's a software company called Reaver. Well, he nearly fell off his chair. He said, I work at Reaver as well. Wow. That wasn't a coincidence. That was just another confirmation that we were in the right place. So next morning, Terry drove me into work and I didn't have to find my way, go on a bus or anything. He just drove me into work, and I worked at the same place as him for many, many years. So that was the wonderful way that God brought us to Bolton. So a few weeks later, in January 1982, Janet and the kids and me finally moved up lock, stock and barrel with our furniture and everything, and we moved into a big house in Little Lever. So from that day, we all started to attend Crawford Street, which eventually became the Bridge. So my experience is, if you go through a door that God's pointing you towards, push it, go through, see if it opens, but look for confirmation as well. And don't forget to give him all the praise and all the glory.
We arrived in Bolton in the coldest winter that you'd had for years. We wondered why God had brought us to the frozen north. But the warm welcome that we received from everyone at Bolton Pentecostal Church made us soon feel part of the family. The boys were all under 10 at the time, typical noisy, boisterous, active children. And we wanted an activity program for them that would also enhance their Christian experience. We came across campaigners, and that was a uniformed organisation similar to Scouts, but with a much stronger Christian bias. And we together started some groups in the church. We started small with 2 groups, but very soon we expanded to cover all the age groups from 4 to 18. We ran for 18 years, and during that time, hundreds of children and young people came through, enjoying the activities, but also hearing the gospel. I ran national campaigner camps for a number of years before we started our own children's camp, which we called Activate, and that is the forerunner of what is Bridge Kids Camp now. Can I encourage you to book your children and young people into these camps and retreats? They were absolutely invaluable in the lives of our boys. We firmly believe that they would not be the men of God they are today without the nurturing and mentorship of various youth pastors and attending those camps and retreats. Rick stopped being a campaigner leader quite early on because he became church treasurer, which he did for 27 years, and looked after the computers at the Bridge for almost as many years, and still is doing some of that work. One of the highlights for me of the 43 years that we have been in Bolton is moving from the old building into this new one. On moving day, we had the first half of the service at Crawford Street, and then the whole congregation up to march down the main road and into the new building for the second half of the service. What a sight. Don't know what the neighbours thought, but it was quite an experience. Over the years, there have been many changes and extensions to this building, but the mission has remained the same: to be a light on a hill, reaching our community, transforming our community, one person at a time. We've counted it a privilege to be part of a church where everyone's welcome. Even though nobody's perfect, anything can happen.